you're watching a movie or a TV show and one of the main characters, they get hurt and they're lying there unconscious and you don't know, are they alive? Are they dead? And somebody comes in, maybe a doctor, maybe another medical person, and they feel for the pulse, maybe at their wrist or at their neck. And you're like, I don't know, are they alive or are they dead? Because it's really going to matter to the plot whether or not they're really dead. Is the pulse there? What's going to happen? Because this is going to affect the story in a major way. In today's 5-minute devotional, we see that John, in his gospel, makes a big deal out of whether somebody's really dead or not. And this is right after the crucifixion of Jesus, John chapter 19, verses 31 to 37. Now it was the day of preparation, and the next day was to be a special Sabbath, because the Jewish leaders did not want the bodies left on the crosses during the Sabbath. They asked Pilate to have the legs broken and the bodies taken down. The soldiers therefore came and broke the legs of the men who had been crucified with Jesus, then those of the other. But when they came to Jesus and found that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Instead, one of the soldiers pierced Jesus' side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. The man who saw it has given a testimony, and his testimony is true. He knows that he tells the truth, and he testifies so that you may also believe. These things happen so that the scriptures would be fulfilled. Not one of his bones will be broken. And as another scripture says, they will look on the one they have pierced. So, a couple of background things. It's Passover time. There's a lot of cool stuff about that. I'll mention that again in a minute. Way too much cool stuff to go in 5 minutes. But there is a law in the Old Testament, in Deuteronomy, that if somebody's executed, you don't let their body remain out overnight. And so, even though that's not what the Romans would normally do, they wanted to speed up these executions. And you remember Jesus was executed with 2 other people. And usually crucifixion was something that would take a really long time. And basically, because of the angle, it's really hard to breathe. And so what a person who was crucified would have to do is like push up with their legs in order to get a breath. And so one of the ways to speed up the process of dying in that form would be to break their legs so they can't push up and get more breaths, and basically they'd suffocate more quickly. So they did that to the 2 other people being executed, and the soldiers get to Jesus and they're like, seems like he's already dead. But maybe he's faking it, so we gotta be sure. So they take a spear and they pierce him with it. And then, this is kind of graphic, but as John says, blood and water come out. Now that sounds a little weird, and I am not a doctor, but I've read a couple of things, and basically, that wouldn't happen unless you were dead. One person I read said it was like a mixture of clotted blood and watery substance that would be true if it was a dead body. And another one had some weird thing about maybe his heart actually exploded and it was like the casing around the heart fluid mixed with blood. In any case, it's not going to happen if you're alive. And plus, he's pierced in the side now. And so John makes a big deal out of this. He's like, I was there, I saw it, he really died. And I'm telling the truth. And why is that a big deal? Like, he makes such a big point of like, yes, this death was a real death. Well, just like I mentioned at the beginning, it's going to change everything. It changes everything if this is a real death versus if this is somebody just faking it or unconscious or whatever. John is making a point that Jesus really was human and really died and was dead as you could get. And we're going to leave it there. You guys probably know what happens next. But it's important that Jesus was actually someone who had a human body, who was human as well as God, and that actually did die at this point to fulfill what he came to do and do for us.